When a organization is first created, as in this case, we have the plot of two entrepreneurs. And this entrepreneur served its market, and so did this entrepreneur. Now, as time went on and they found successful strategies, they found that if they surrounded themselves with a few key staff, they could offload an amount of responsibility, making it easier and more able for them to deliver to their market. This goes on usually for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and they continue to add people to the team. At some point in the life cycle of this organism or organization, what happens is, in this case, we'll take one of those entrepreneurs, truly gets pulled out of the box, and what they need is a different set of skills for a different set of situations, where that entrepreneur is now responsible for the people, and then those people are being developed and matured and hopefully put on small, beautiful teams here. And then it's those people that actually serve the market. Now, this is tough. This is a difficult moment for the entrepreneur and a difficult moment for the people, because originally we hired people that were best able to help offload some amount of the things that we didn't necessarily want to focus on, so we could go, maybe be an innovator or maybe be an operator of a business. As you move then down the ecosystem, and this organization is kind of growing, and then maybe we're using sort of cross-functional teams that can serve their markets, and then together these teams can mature and get really, really, really good at doing this. And now, ultimately, next eco, right? So in the next stage, this entrepreneur is now responsible. Running out of paper here. Let's go to the next pitch. This entrepreneur is now responsible for the people that are serving the people on teams that are responsible for their markets. This journey, if you don't pay attention to it and you don't notice the moments when this is the right form of cellular sort of division, there can be a tremendous amount of unnecessary pain, both in the organization and in the executive. And what tends to happen right here, if we don't use this team structure, a lot of things happen right here that set a lot of very difficult to undo things in motion. But essentially what happens right here kind of matures that CEO, and we finally kind of get things settled up if we do a good job there. And eventually, if we're lucky, we get to go through the discomfort again. And ultimately, as the situation changes, we start to drift apart if we use a traditional model, and we start to use a different vocabulary for our needs. And before you know it, everybody feels like and is saying things that seem very much different, but a lot of pain across the entire situation. But the feeling and what they're actually struggling with is very much the same, and what they want is the same. And so we can adopt a strategy, and we can pay attention to things like this, where as those scale moments happen, the decisions we make about how mature teams need to be and how best the business service layer can support the team structures, and how then part of the business service we'll just put at the top here is kind of the moment where it gets so important that we can now even scale some of our services down here, some of our process, perhaps the product owner and Scrum Master organizations, and perhaps the CEO being then the leader influencer track in that organization, and then the Scrum Master organization being built to serve teams as a product owner organization, and the rest of the business services that teams don't really care to have, on and or all the time. So payroll and HR and accounting and finance and on and credit lines and et cetera, so on and so forth. And all that becomes these business services, right? You become these small teams that are delivering in a component model, but they're delivering services to the organization in those moments where the teams would ask for it. So there's something I think really important about plotting this progression from key delivery agent and the kind of teams and structures that we would naturally build, and then we look up and notice we're having enough success to build the more than 10 or 12 people start to come into the model, and then after you hit like 25 to 40, all the way up to like 120 people, you can pull this off before it's really time to develop the cultural underpinnings of an award-winning company where nobody's all confused with how to behave internally. And the CEOs finally get everything they want, and the execs get everything they want, the people get everything they want, the customers get what they want, and the whole machine's really, really happy. High five.